Hi, my name's Sian and welcome to my channel, The Agency Advantage, where you can find out what it's like to work in pharma and also hints and tips for how to find a job in pharma. Hit like and subscribe for more helpful tips for how to find a job in pharma. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Today, if you're watching on YouTube, I probably look really tired, but it's because I came back from the European Society of Cardiology conference in London. And although it was only in London, as you can imagine, lots of late nights, lots of preparation, lots of meeting people. And I think it's quite intellectually draining, especially for somebody who's relatively new to their role like me. So let's get into it. Today, I wanted to talk about putting yourself out there. And this is really important for me because I'm an introvert. So putting myself out there is a bit of a foreign territory for me because I am not a big fan of putting myself out there, despite what people might think. So I am a natural introvert, which means I suppose that introverts can be extroverted for certain things. They can be great presenters. They can actually be really friendly people, but it just means that we tend to need some time to be by ourselves. So while I love conferences and it's really great to see my colleagues that I haven't seen because I work from home and I live in Switzerland. So some of my colleagues are based in London, some of them are based in Belgium. So it's great to meet colleagues, but I do really appreciate coming back from the conference and reflecting and spending a little bit of time decompressing and all of the things that I've learned from the conference. So that's where we're at. And I just wrote a post on LinkedIn. And if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, then you really need to be, because if I do say so myself, there are some really great pearls of wisdom in my LinkedIn newsletter that I think you'll really enjoy. I talk a lot about leadership and introverts and neurospices and all things like that. So please subscribe and don't miss out on the latest newsletter. I post a newsletter every day at 4 p.m. on a Monday. So let's get back to it. What's important right now in the job market is it's very competitive. And I'm seeing, 60 plus people applying for very mediocre roles across the industry. And it's very hard to get a job. Even if you're a really talented person with lots of experience, it's very hard to get a job right now. So that means that you need to stand out. And that's kind of horrible for people like me who are introverted, because we don't want to stand out. We want to kind of fade into the background. So what do I mean by standing out? Well, I think there's a few ways that you can do this. You can do this by kind of putting yourself out there at work, presenting things, being present. But I also think there's other ways of doing this that are less extroverted. If you work in a pharma company, that can look like kind of making sure that you have one-to-one meetings with everyone just to get to know people and find out what their role is, what their goal is, what's keeping them up at night, what you can help with. That's one way that I think is a really effective way of kind of establishing yourself, because then people think of you. They think when something comes up that they need to tell you about, they'll come to you and they'll appreciate being listened to. That's one way that you can put yourself out there. But if you haven't got a job, or if you're looking to pivot careers, then as much as it pains me to say this, because I do think LinkedIn as a platform is an imperfect platform, but unfortunately it's the only platform that we have, I would say just write a newsletter. That's kind of what I've started to do. I've never had anyone, well, not to my face anyway, say anything negative about my newsletter. I've only ever had lots of positive, thank you for sharing that newsletter. That really resonated with me. So I continued to do that. Just a quick note from our sponsors, Pulsetto. I've been using the Pulsetto for around 6 months now. I find it really easy to use, and just with a busy life, like I have a son, I have a very stressful job, and I need something to help me relax and help me to ensure that I get a really good night's sleep. So that's why I use the Pulsetto. Very easy to use. There are 5 to 10 minute programs and different intensities. And I just like the fact that you can do it while you're watching TV or working at your desk. Are kindly doing a discount for all my listeners. And if you use the code agency101 at the checkout, you'll get 5% off. And I think, like anything, consistency is key. So If you can only do a newsletter once a month, then that's absolutely fine. Just make sure that you do it once a month. If you prefer every 2 weeks, I've gone for weekly, and I have to say sometimes I regret it, but I normally come up with something well in advance and, have things programmed. But sometimes I have to admit that I'm sitting there on Sunday night. What am I going to write about? But generally speaking, it's quite easy. You don't have to write a huge novella. You can just write a few paragraphs on a topic. I try to have conversations with people, go out there, get inspired, just have chats with people, because loads of the time ideas for topics come up through my conversations with people. So that's one way of putting yourself out there. And if you think about it, if you're applying for jobs, make sure that your LinkedIn profile is optimized. So have a go at improving your SEO. I do have a post on my blog about this, so check that out. It's really important to make sure that people can find you in the first place, but also you want to be showing that you're a thought leader on a certain topic. And if you can align that to your target job, then that will be perfect, because then when hiring managers are looking at your profile, as they inevitably will do when you've applied for a job, then you make sure that they can see that you can actually do the job, you know what you're talking about in your newsletter or your posts on your LinkedIn. And I suppose the other way is, if you're really extroverted, you can go and do presentations at conferences. So some of these smaller conferences, they might invite industry people to go and do a presentation on a topic, leadership, AI, all of those kinds of things you can really do to put yourself out there. And then, of course, you can post on LinkedIn. You can let your management team know that you're going to do this. You probably need their permission anyway. I think the networking doesn't have to be more extrovert networking and going in a room and meeting a load of people at the same time. You can do that in one-to-ones, which I think is really nice. And then everybody can do that quite easily. Just write a newsletter, write a blog, whatever you feel comfortable with. That's ultimately, because then you're more likely to be consistent. You're more likely to be less stressed about it, because it should be fun. Just don't let any negativity put you off. You're always going to find negativity. I had some comments on social media, but you know what? I just don't care. I feel like I have something to say, and I'm going to share it regardless of what these minority of people think. So don't let negativity put you off. Get out there, go for it. I think it's really important right now with the job market the way it is. You just got to rise above the noise, and you've got to set yourself out as a candidate that's got talent, knows what they're talking about. I really hope that you enjoyed today's very short episode. So I'll be back with a longer episode next time. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more great content on pharma and everyday musings from pharma and biotech as a person who works in-house. Bye for now.